This is Theodore at Lies of the Devil. Go to liesofthedevil.com. We're at the front line in spiritual warfare. We're going to talk about men being duped by Hollywood and pretending them, and basically Satan, okay, using Hollywood and subliminal messaging to tell men how to behave when it comes to love. It's a little bit different than the normal videos we put out, just kind of mixing it up here. But yeah, men, you don't understand what Hollywood is teaching guys how to act and how to behave and how to fall in love is totally wrong. It's absolutely wrong. That's why marriages, like 50% of marriages in America, they fail miserably, and then it's even higher in your second and third, marriage. Christians today, it's like the normal thing to do now is to get married and remarried. Okay, let's open this up with the Bible, and Proverbs 31:10. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. It's absolutely right. A good woman, a good Christian woman, you find that, you hold on to it for dear life. First it's Jesus Christ, right? That's who you need to be saved. That's who needs to be the cornerstone of everything. But finding a virtuous woman, that is the trick, right? That is what every man is looking for. And I'm going to show you guys how to do that, okay? At the very end of this documentary, pay attention to everything in this documentary, and at the very end, I'll show you how to find that woman. Okay? I'll show you. Here's what people get very the confusion's all about with men and women. It's because they don't want to obey God, and men take it to the extreme, and women take it to the extreme. You've got the feminists. That's the woman side of it. That's just totally extreme, like give me freedom, because it's a retaliation against a lot of what's even in the independent fundamental Baptist movement, where men take advantage of their roles that God gave them, and they forget to love their spouse as if they were to love themselves. Okay, but here's the rule to having a good marriage, on top of Christ being the center of your relationship. Husbands, love your wives, even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. Okay? And women, this is Ephesians 5:25, okay, and then 5:22, this is for the women. Wives, submit yourselves unto your own husbands as unto the Lord. And those are the two things that you have. If you get those two things, husbands, love your wives, okay, and wives, submit, it's fantastic. Because the man is supposed to, you're not supposed to be unequally yoked, but the man is supposed to love his wife, okay, and not take advantage of her. All right. If you go to liesofthedevil.com, okay, you're going to find this documentary, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Hollywood's Alpha Male. This guy is like teaching everybody how to be like, man, but he gave birth to a baby in a movie, okay? And I break down who this guy really is. He is not the man everybody should be looking up to. He's not the role model children should have, okay, at a young age. And then also you can get this audiobook for children, Big Brother David, Little Lady Grace, and Little Tommy, Daddy and Pops. It's two different families, and it just goes through different stories of what happened in their life, and how to reaching out to the children at a young age is important, vitally important. We went up and down Hollywood Boulevard, and just the crap we saw some guy who was a homosexual in his little tight pants, and he was just like making a fool of himself. Like he was a feminized man, and all these kids, as they're going down Hollywood Boulevard, they're looking at this and going, "Mommy, what is that?" And moms are just like, "He's just a goofy man. Come on, let's go." And then they'll just watch all kinds of this homosexual. And so my point is that you've got to teach kids at a young age. And so there's stories like this, like, for instance, one of the stories is called Roller Coasters, Slides, and Swings. And Big Brother Dave and Little Lady Grace go to the amusement park, and their mom and dad teach the rides that they go on. They teach a spiritual lesson with those rides to kind of get kids at a young age to follow Christ. And Little Tommy, Daddy, and Pops, letter to Jesus, he doesn't have a mom, and so little Tommy doesn't have a mom, and so he writes a letter to Jesus to give to his mom. It's to get children knowing about Christ and knowing that through him there's eternal salvation. So little Tommy can't wait to see his mom in heaven. Anyway, let's get right into this, okay? So I'm going to have a lot of fun with this, and I'll try not to have too much fun. because it is a very serious subject, but it is very important. Okay, this first clip I want to show you, it's from a movie called Hitch, and basically this guy who is a really soft kind of person, he ends up hiring a consultant, which is Will Smith, to teach him how he can become a man and how basically how to manipulate women into falling in love with him. And that's the big trend now, is men manipulating women and manipulating their environment so that they can find love, right? So they can find marriage. And that's the end of it, right? They totally switch, right? When they get married, like, yes, I got her. And then they switch, and then the wife is totally miserable. It's like they married a sociopath.
Stand up.
I guess it's...
Just breathe. Just breathe. How'd it go?
I yelled at her. I screamed at my boss. I quit my job. What? You said... I gotta go back. No, I didn't tell you to quit. Listen, we're fine. We're fine, okay? Let it go. Albert. No. Just relax.
Albert.
Yes, hi. What's up?
Listen, Albert, right? People don't usually talk to me like that, okay? Let me rephrase that. People never talk to me like that.
Stand up.
I guess it's kind of scary for them. But that's why I really appreciate what you did in there. But I was...
And so he ends up getting a date with the woman, okay? So it's basically, men in the Lord are confident, okay? Men in the Lord are confident. They don't fear, they don't have unrational fears or anything like that. They're just confident beings, okay? And so this movie, he's trying to teach this guy how to be confident. There are so many women that just bash men, right? The feminist movement, they've turned women into this really villainous type of thing. Like women bash men all the time now. I get calls from people like, out here the women are just constantly, you can't talk to them. They're always mad, right? Look at who's that woman? I can't remember her name. She's in the movie Entrapment. Not Jodie Foster, but anyway, there's a Hollywood actress. It's viral on the internet. She was going through an airport. I should have brought up the clip. She's going through an airport, and some guy who's like works for the airlines is like, "Oh, that's a beautiful dress," and she's like, and then she gets her little selfie camera out. She's like, he told me I have a beautiful dress. You know what? First of all, I didn't ask you. Second of all, I know it's a beautiful dress. and she's just like, and it was like, what? The guy was just complimenting you on a dress, lady. You know what I mean? And so they want people to fight, right? That's what Satan's job is, to break down the family unit, to break apart men and women, and to make and to like confuse genders. Anyway, I'm not going to get into all that, but that scene right there, he was just trying to teach him how to be a man. Okay, well, I'm going to show you through this that if you know the Lord Jesus Christ and you have confidence and you go worship and you go evangelize, you will be the thing that a woman wants. Okay? But I'll tell you all about that at the very end. Got to stick with me to the end. We're going to talk about product placement. This is an old movie with Audrey Hepburn, called Breakfast at Tiffany's, and it's actually a movie promoting Tiffany and Co., which is like a jewelry place where women like to get their jewelry from and whatnot. It's basically, it's basically a movie promoting that. The whole entire thing's product placement for Tiffany and Company. See, here she is. She's in New York. She's looking at this building, Tiffany and Co. She's very fancy. Got her pearls. She's got her little, $5 donut. What we'd call Starbucks now, wherever she got it from. She's eating her $5 donut, living in an apartment. She's a princess, jewelry, glittery all over the place, And then the whole entire movie, she's like an aloof type of woman. Like, she can't make up her mind. She's always crying, always, she's just a very confused woman. But the whole entire premise is you will find your true love with the man who is totally relentless and will not stop going after you. Which in itself is like what they would call stalkers. But when a man loves a woman, they just keep going. My wife, you know what I mean? And they will fall in love. They'll get to know you. So they take the actual natural, relationships that men and women should have, and they totally pervert it. So that movie, Audrey Hepburn, Tiffany and Co., it's product placement for this company right here, Tiffany and Co. Jewelry. And we're going to talk about subliminal messaging. This is how they confuse people, okay? And it's all about return to Tiffany, a timeless reminder that's no place like Tiffany. Shop the collection. Here's the jewelry. Love. Return to Tiffany Love Lock Necklace. If you don't have one of these, you're not loved. Cuff love, you know, the whole 9 yards. So let's talk about subliminal messaging, okay? This is what, well, I'm just going to show you a video of who Edward Bernays. He was the nephew of Freud, Sigmund Freud, who delved into psychology and just was a sick guy. So I'm just going to play this and you guys can listen to where this all came from, this guy right here.
Other earlier innovators, but none altered the social landscape of North America as profoundly. Born in Vienna, Austria in 1891, Bernays' family moved to New York City about a year after his birth. He was the nephew of Sigmund Freud, and like his uncle, Bernays was captivated by the convoluted processes of the human mind. Bernays often consulted his uncle's work, and he was the first to incorporate psychology and other social sciences into PR. Yet where Freud sought to uncover motivations, Bernays sought to mask them, and Bernays' clients were companies rather than individuals. That if the packs must stay green, they should make green the premier color of the fashion season. During his Green Ball campaign, Bernays convinced French designers to incorporate green into their latest fashion lines, and not just any green, but the specific dark green shade of Lucky Strike packaging. He also engineered a green gala at the Waldorf Astoria, featuring some of society's most prominent tastemakers. To address the problem of smoking in public, he linked Lucky Strike cigarettes to the women's liberation movement, arranging for young women to march down Fifth Avenue, smoking and calling the cigarettes torches of freedom.
Okay, so you have this Edward Bernays guy basically manipulating mankind through advertising and public relations. I mean, people that do marketing, you know, part of what I do in public relations is I've taken the concept of selling sex and selling all that nonsense, and I do the opposite. I actually lay seeds of the gospel in advertising for people I work with, okay? And I won't sell sex. I'll sell purity. You know what I mean? And so that's what God's given me the ability to do. But this guy does it in a totally evil way. So the Lucky Strike cigarette, he would have women. For men, it was as if they had the males in their mouth, the males in a woman's mouth. Okay, and that's what they put up on billboards, and so that just got guys interested. Like, ooh, that's sex, right? It's all about sex. It's all about selling sex. Okay, and so that's how they manipulate people. I'm going to show you the subliminal messaging in advertising that comes on all the day. That's why your television is so dangerous. Okay, these movies are literally rewiring people's brains. It's called neuroplasticity. We talked about that earlier. So before I show you the subliminal messaging that they've caught McDonald's and other companies doing, I just want to read this. So in Proverbs 31:30, favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Men, find a woman that fears the Lord. If they don't have Christianity and they're aloof in their doctrine, they're not good. You know what I mean? You either have to teach them, and if they're willing to be taught, great. But you don't get caught up with, don't be unequally yoked, man. I'm telling you. Same thing goes with men. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. And then go up to 26. She opened her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. If there's a feminist out there that's like trampling on you when you first meet him, get away. Somebody that's trying to make you feel like crap because, you know, they've got this thing psychologically with people like, if the woman is treating, oh, we'll show you the Indiana Jones clip, okay, where it's like the man and the woman fight. You know, if that's what turns you guys on, like emotionally, to like get involved sexually or whatever, don't get involved in that. You know what I mean? I've got my own experiences. Don't. You know what I mean? You meet women like that are in dating world, don't keep following them because they will break your heart. Okay? Verse 27, she looketh well to the ways of her household and eateth not the bread of idleness. My wife, She's not idle, man. She outworks me sometimes. A lot of times, not even sometimes. She'll outwork me. You know what I mean? A woman. God made things so perfect. Okay, designed things so perfectly. A woman is not idle. Okay. You know, my wife, when I'm wanting to relax for the day, she's still up. She still wants to go. I have to convince her to play Uno with me. Just joking. No, we play. It's mutual, but I have to convince her. Let's call it a day, and she usually does. You know what I mean? But my point is that you don't want somebody who's idle. Okay, she pushes me to keep going sometimes. Okay, here we go. Let's just go into this this article about 7 sneaky subliminal messages hidden in ads. People say that this isn't real. It's real. Okay, your brain's being rewired. McDonald's, I'm loving it. During a 24-hour food channel, during Iron Chef of America, they flashed this for like a few seconds during the show, okay? Right? They're talking about food, and then they flash McDonald's up there, you know? Palm Olive's Shower Buddies. A print ad for Palm Olive's foaming shower gel might have been designed for frenetic page-flipping magazine readers in mind. If you stop and take a moment to digest the ad, you'll notice the woman's forearm is considerably more masculine than the rest of her arm. See, right here? Why is that? Okay? It's all sexual. During the KFC, they put a little dollar bill in the sandwich. See that? You know, they've done things like that multiple times in the KFC ads. You know, during this was, I can't find the clip, I was looking for it, but during this game, when they were playing commercials, it was saying "get it." They would flash the words "get it" in the screen, so that you'd go buy it. You know, and then political rats. See, the word rats. You actually you can find this. Oh man, there's so much to this. Jesse Ventura's conspiracy theory. He's so anti-Illuminati, anti-global government. So is Alex Jones. Oh, just so angry at those people. Get the guns. You know, fight back. You know, those people. They're part of it. It's all about salesmanship. You know, it's all about money. They don't care about the New World Order taking over. They don't care about Lucifer. They'll say that they're Christians. But anyway, Jesse Ventura's conspiracy theory shows, just watch shows. They'll flash things, and they do it now like it's no big deal. And people think that, oh, that's not, it's, so what? So what they're flashing that up? That doesn't change me. You know, it's not going to change my mind. Well, the flicker rates in the televisions are meant to hypnotize you. Go look up that patent. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but there's a patent. The television, the flicker rate is to hypnotize you. And then when they flash things up, they're like subliminal messaging, like I just showed you. It's for a reason. Alex Jones does it in his InfoWars. Go to liesofthedevil.com, get this for free, and sit down and watch it with your friends who like Alex Jones. Wake them up, okay? Wake them up. This guy's not a Christian. Or you can watch it free online. So, but let's go back to this article. So during political season, Al Gore flashed the words "rats" when he was making an ad campaign, when he was launching an ad campaign against George W. Bush. And anyway, so that's what they showed up there. And it goes on and on, like Marlboro's hidden code. Marlboro, they put an ad on, you know, you see those NASCARs where they've got a bunch of stickers on there or whatnot. It's advertising. Well, Marlboro had a cigarette on there, and they had to pull it, right, because it's a family-friendly show or whatever. Well, see this barcode? They put a barcode on there, and so when the car, when the race car was zooming past the screen, it looked like a cigarette. And then they had the Marlboro badge, you know, on the opposite side. Instead of showing an actual cigarette on there, so they get around. They figure these things out all the time. They do it all the time, and they do it in Hollywood. Okay, let's play this next clip. The Titanic scene. This is, you know, men. Here, I'm going to tell you right now, women do not want this type of guy. I'm sorry, I'll tell you right now, they don't want this type of person, because you try to play off as this like loving person, and just you just come here, come here, let me grab your hair and comb it and give you a little massage. They don't want that. That's creepy. Okay. Yeah, you do that when you get married and stuff like that. Yeah, you know, but you know, in a loving way. But that's not what they want, dude. Women want a man. They don't want an effeminate. You know what I mean? I'm just telling you that right now. So I watched this, and it's just like, what? You know what I mean? And women fell for this. And then they take advantage of people that do these kind of things. They'll take advantage of them because it's like, oh, they're showing me love. I'm so alone right now. I love this. And they'll take advantage of you. And then you're falling in love. The woman's taking advantage of you and is saying that she's in love with you when she's not. And before you know it, she strings you along, and now she wants a bad boy, right? Because Hollywood now is telling you go after a bad boy. So just watch this clip. It's so funny. Oh, hold on. There we go. Oh, okay. Before we show the other clip, this woman, you know, she's getting in, what is it, forced marriage, right? Okay, it's like an arranged marriage, right, for the elitist, right? That's what they do. The Dutch of, you know, the Duchess of Burbank. Okay, the Duchess of Burbank, or the, you know, they'll, and I'm making that up, they'll take their families and they'll marry other foreign countries, like the princes. You know what I mean? So this is kind of like an arranged marriage for the elite to keep their power within their family. And she doesn't want it, and so she wants to kill herself. And so she's like running, like, oh, ah, you know, running down the ship. And then she gets ready to jump off the ship and kill herself or whatever. And here comes along, you know, the poor boy. The poor guy that's going to save her life, that knows everything. He's figured it all out, right? He doesn't need book smarts because he's street smarts. And anyway, he turns into a wussy boy. But here, just watch this. He basically lies to her as well. He lies to her about who he is so that she'll fall in love with him, which is really sad too. But I gotta get out of here. I just can't. It's hilarious. Like, she's like running in high heels, like, and he's like pondering life, you know, like he's a free guy, you know, what's out there. That comes off as one of those types, you know, hippie-ish type of person, traveler. Anyway, so let me fast forward through this real quick.
Don't be absurd. You'll be killed.
I'm a good swimmer.
He's gonna save her, right? So she owes everything to him now because he saved her life.
Tell you the truth, I'm a lot more concerned about that water being so cold.
How cold?
Freezing. Maybe a couple degrees over. Like I said, I don't have a choice. I guess I'm kind of hoping you'll come back over the rail and get me off the hook here.
You're crazy.
That's what everybody says, but with all due respect, miss, I'm not the...
So, you know, she owes her life to him, and he's all like, you leave me no choice. I'm going to have to jump in there with you. I'm not going to call for the people that will actually put out a raft that, you know, that will catch you, or they'll throw a raft over. But if you're going to go in the frozen water, I'm going to go with you. I'm going to get her. You know what I mean? Like, so, and women will actually play into that type of character where they'll play like the victim. You know what I mean? And they're like hoping, that's like how they'll try to find love, is they're hoping that another man who's going to try to fix her problems will come along and do the same thing. And then they capture each other in this fake love, right? Okay, so here's another scene where, again, this is, guys, don't be like this, okay, guys? Don't be a little wussy boy like this. So he's pondering about life, pondering about her, you know, just encapsulated in this love.
Hello, Jack.
I came back again.
I changed my mind.
Oh, I'm sorry, I changed my mind.
I said you might be okay.
He forgot to put his finger up to her mouth and say shh.
Now close your eyes.
You guys try to do this with a woman, she'll laugh at you.
Step up. Now hold on to the railing. Keep your eyes closed.
I'm gonna tell you right now. This is what real husband and wife would do. They'd go up to there and be like, "Wow, this is beautiful. Isn't God amazing? Wow, look at this. Look at that. Look at that." Not like, "Get up to the railing." Feel the wind. You know what I mean? That's just ridiculous. Okay, people don't do that, and people will live out that kind of fantasy, like weird. So here we go. No, actually, you know what? Let's just play more clips. I mean, they're funny. Okay, let's go through the different weird stuff. So this is really sad. What happens in life is that when women find it really is sad. Guys will fall in love with they'll fall in love with the fake women that they find in Hollywood, and then they'll try to act like the men that are in Hollywood. And they're not who they really are, right? Because they're trying to be the things that they're being taught or told how to act, and it causes destruction in families. Okay, and so this next clip, it's based on what's happening in America. Okay, and it's called American Beauty. It's really a filthy film. Okay, because it's kind of like a horror film. I don't know, it's a weird horror film, but this scene is what happens in America, where the woman, actually his wife, the guy's wife that's at this burger place, he quit his job because he was tired of being pushed around by his boss, and he gets a job at Burger King or something like that, and he's happier there because it's just like whatever type of work, it's not as stressful. And his wife, who's very much like very fake, okay, and she doesn't have natural relations with him. She withholds sex from him and stuff like that. She basically pushes him away, makes him snap. He snaps, and then she goes out and she finds the man that she really wants, kind of like the big, tall, dark, handsome man that comes on a white horse and saves the day. She ends up having an affair with her husband with that guy, and this is that scene. And it happens all the time, okay? Women get duped, men get duped, they fall in love, this fake love, they get married, they find out they hate each other, and then they go commit adultery. Okay? And that's why the divorce rate is so high. That stuff happens all the time. It's sad.
You need more than that, my little hombre.
Oh, yeah. What's in here?
Nothing.
Oh, well, then I guess we'll just have to be bad, won't we? I'll have a double smiley sandwich, curly fries, and a vanilla shake.
Make that two.
That'll be $7.98. Please run up to the window. Thank you. I think we deserve a little junk food after the workout we had this morning.
Too nervous. Thank you, little flatter. Smile, you're at Mr. Smiley's. Would you like to try our new beef and cheese pot pie on a stick? Just $1.99 for a limited time only?
We were just at a seminar. Buddy, this is my...
Her husband. We've met before, but something tells me you're going to remember me this time.
You are so busted. You know, this really doesn't concern you.
Well, actually... So, this makes sense.
Lester.
Honey, it's okay. I want you to be happy. Would you like smiley sauce with that?
Lester, just stop it.
No. You don't get to tell me what to do. Ever again.
See? And so so basically she gets caught and she's like, "Oh, we were just at a seminar," after he's making out with her neck. You know what I mean? And she's like, "Oh, we're just coming out from..." That's what liars do. They'll always try to distract you. They always try to distract. And anyway, this happens all the time, where the men and the women, they hate each other. They're okay with each other cheating on each other, and it's like, you don't tell me what to do anymore. We're here for the kids or whatever, and you don't tell me what to do anymore. And they'll go off and they'll commit adultery, and it causes all this sin. Okay? Or they get a divorce and they get remarried again, and then they find out that they really hate each other. Colossians 3:19, husbands, love your wives and be not bitter against them. You know, when anything ever happens with me and my wife, I mean, we're human beings, okay? It happens. We get in small arguments or whatever, okay? We don't get in bad arguments, okay? When you have Christ in your life, you get over it really quick. So we'll get into we'll get in an argument, like, for instance, like top ramen, okay? We're at the library. And my wife is like, hey, I want a top ramen. I'm going to eat it while I'm there. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, we could have eaten before we got here. Well, I want to eat while we're there. Okay, just no problem. I love you, okay? You know what I mean? Like little things like that. And you learn to love each other. You don't stay bitter against each other. You got a problem, you fix it right then and there. You don't let things foment. Okay? Can I read out of the Bible, baby? It's hard for me to read there. Hebrews 13:4. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers God will judge. Okay? It ruins families. Kids get ruined for a very long time when things like this stuff, when this kind of stuff happens. Here we go. This is another fake love. This guy in Sleepless in Seattle. He it's meant to be. All of a sudden, I like this favorite movie. She likes that favorite movie. We don't know that we like this favorite movie. And I'm watching this film, and I just want my life to be just like that. If that'll happen just like that, I know that I'm in love, right? And everybody knows that Sleepless in Seattle is all the chicks, all the women, it's called chick flick. And I'm going to play this clip for you, and it's just like this random occurrence, and all of a sudden they just fall in love, and they'll get married and have a happy life, and then a year later it goes by, they find out that they totally hate each other, and they want a divorce. And if they're not going to have a divorce, they're going to go cheat. And if they can't go cheat, then who knows? You know what I mean? So check this out right here.
You're kidding. That's so sweet.
Now he's obsessed with this one woman who wrote me.
You serious? Yeah, she wants to meet me at the top of the Empire State Building.
On Valentine's Day.
It's like that movie.
What movie?
At a Fair to Remember. Did you ever see it? Oh, God. Cary Grant and Deborah Carr. Is it Carr or Kerr?
Kerr.
Okay. She's going to meet him at the top of the Empire State Building. Only she got hit by a taxi. And he waited and waited. And it was raining, I think. And then she's too proud to tell him that she's crippled. And he's too proud to find out why she doesn't come. But he comes to see her anyway. I forget why, but oh, it's so amazing when he comes to see her. Because he doesn't even notice that she doesn't get up to say hello. And he's very bitter. And you think that he's just gonna walk out the door and never know why. She's just lying there, like on the couch with this blanket over her shriveled little legs.
So you're right.
That does happen. That does happen. Women are emotional. They have their emotional moments and stuff like that. So they're playing on that, but they're using a natural thing and they're having fun with it, and it is funny, okay? But then they'll take it and they'll pervert it with this fake love type thing that we're talking about here. Here's the scene where they finally meet and they finally fall in love on top of the building, right? Total romance, and again, people buying into these different personalities that Hollywood feeds you. So this woman's on top of the Empire State Building. She goes there. She goes there to like get away, and he also goes there to get away. Tom Hanks' character, and they finally just meet. Right? They finally fall. They finally this one occurrence where they both realize he was supposed to meet her for Valentine's Day. He has no idea who this woman is. She has no idea who he is, and they randomly meet there. Like a total fantasy. Like that's not how the real world works, right? And so that's their little blind date. Here we go. And she knows all about the little boy and everything, right? Because they've been pen pals. Is that correct? Like pen pals or whatever the case being.
It's you.
It's me.
I saw you in the street.
Are you Annie?
Yes.
You're Annie?
This must be yours.
I'm Jonah. This is my dad. His name's Sam.
Hi, Jonah. Sam.
You know what I mean? Like, hi, Jonah. Sam. And he's just like, I'm gonna marry you, lady. And that doesn't happen. You know what really happened? You know what the real world happened? The real world, go to a Bible study. That's where I met my wife. Go to a Bible study. Get involved in a church. A lot of the churches are dead. Not all of them, but a lot of them are dead. Don't forsake the assembly of the saints. Find out, workers in Christ, we're going to build a network here. Part of our ministry, we're going to build a network and a platform for people to get together, real believers in Christ, and go meet up with those people and go work for the Lord, okay? That's how you meet people. Get off the smartphones. You know how many people are glued on their smartphones and that's all they can do is look at their, get off of that stuff. Go into reality and meet people. You're not going to do it randomly like this movie. You know what I mean? Men, get out there and go meet women, godly women. Colossians 3:1-2. If ye be risen with Christ, seek those things which are above, where Christ sitteth on the right hand of God. Set your affection on things above, not on things on the earth. Don't worry about what's going on. These Hollywood films, the lust of women when you're walking down the street and you're in school or whatever, and they're scantily dressed. Don't fix your eyes on that stuff. I'm telling you, you want a godly woman, stop doing that stuff. Get away from it. I'm telling you, that's how you'll find her. Okay? But I'm gonna go into more detail at the very end of this, and I'll tell you exactly how you find your wife. Okay? Here's another clip. The Notebook. All the women love this movie, but it's so sad. In a lot of these films, the women will be in a marriage or they'll be dating some guy, and instead of coming clean to the guy that they're dating, okay, like, hey, listen, this isn't working out anymore. I'm moving on with my life. We'll be friends or whatever. Instead, they'll go around and basically, if you're dating, you're not committing adultery, but you are basically cheating, okay? And in the first place, if you're dating, you better not be having sexual relations, right? Because if you have sexual relations in the Bible, I can't remember exactly where, but if you're having sex with your girlfriend, you're to get married, okay? So men, women that are dating, if you're having sex and you say you're a Christian, that's your spouse at that point. When you have that knowledge in God and in the Bible, you're then held accountable. But anyway, if they're dating and whatnot, they'll end up cheating and messing around with another guy, and then a year, 2 years, 6 months later, I don't know, they'll finally tell the person, oh, I've been cheating on you this whole time. And it's like you're wasting like 6 months, a year of somebody's life that they could have been going out trying to find a good person. You know what I mean? So anyway, a lot of these films, they promote adultery and that the grass is greener on the other side. And that's what this scene is depicting. This woman in The Notebook, throughout the whole entire movie, The Notebook, like towards the end, she ends up falling in love with a guy and she's about to get engaged. At the same time, she's going back to her old fling and is committing emotional adultery, which ends up in physical adultery. And in this film, it's like she's looking for the grass is greener on the other side, and it begins to rain. And the women and the men get encapsulated in this idea that whatever your spouse is, if you have a better idea out there and you meet somebody who might fit that ideal that Hollywood gives you, that is who you're supposed to be dating. That is the person you'll fall in love with. And it's actually worse than the former, or you might think is worse than the former, right? Colossians 2:5, mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil, concupiscence, I can't say that word, and covetousness, which is idolatry, for which things sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience. People cheat, people want to go find grass is greener on the other side or this, that, and the other. God is going to give you what you want. And it's not going to be fun. Okay? It's not going to be fun. Men and women who are married, keep your eyes fixated on each other and in your future, and let the Lord Jesus Christ be the center of your relationship. Men, women, if you're involved in a relationship that you do not like, or that you're married and your spouse is somebody you don't like, listen, fix your eyes on Christ. Fix your eyes on Christ and then your husband or your wife thereafter, and I'm telling you, things will improve. And if they don't improve, keep your eyes on God, okay? That's how you'll get through it. And you keep doing that no matter what. Even if your spouse does not want you to read the Bible, or I mean, how many people do we meet at Hollywood? We try to give this book right here. We try to give this to a woman. This has happened multiple times where we're talking about the children and morals and values, and this is an audiobook. It's fully theatrical. We put it together. My wife does the voiceover. You know, I wrote the stories. She wrote the stories for Tommy, little Tommy and Daddy, and we wrote these stories and we edited it with music. It's a beautiful. You can go look these up online if you want to, but stick this in your CD player. It teaches the kids morals and ethics, and the wife will go, and the woman will go, "Oh, I think we're okay." And then the little kid will say, "But mommy, I like it." And she'll go, "Okay, so what? Tell me a little bit more about it." And we'll tell her about the Christian values, and she'll get ready to take it. And then the man or the woman will go, "No, we don't want to confuse the kids." And then the woman and the kids are like staring, looking at their dad, and he's like, "No, we don't want to confuse." And then we'll say, "Well, this is just teaching morals and ethics. It's nothing confusing. It's just teaching kids how to be better people." And he'll be like, "No, we're not going to deal with that." And the woman's a Christian and the man is not, and they end up fighting with each other. And the woman ended up taking this from us because we were like, "Listen, you're doing the right thing. Teach them about Christ. Keep going." Not to cause a division between the man and the wife, but if you have Christ in your life and your other spouse doesn't, keep going after the Lord. Even when the spouse says, "Oh, I don't want to do," no. God comes first. God always comes first. God comes first before my wife. My wife, God comes first before me. But you know what? Here's the thing. God's not an author of confusion, and in fact, he just strengthens our marriage. Okay, so anyway, let's go back to this clip. This this false, grass is greener on the other side, fake laughing type thing. So funny. And anyway, I guess they end up cheating. She ends up cheating, committing adultery against the person she's going to get married right after this scene. But it's like this fake thing. Oh, I didn't mean to do that with my hands. People see that I was trying to do the devil sign. But people she's like total freedom. She's like, "Ah!" "Ah!" And he just sitting there, like, "Ha ha 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 ha," and then like. And then, like, within that split moment, right, like, this is reality, okay? That's not reality. It happens in fantasy world, and people live out fantasies, but not in the real world. They're sitting there, like, totally free, and then all of a sudden it's like, ha, 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 and then, like, whoom, they're looking at each other, and they're like, "I remember everything now. Oh, I love you. Let's go home." You know what I mean? So we can commit adultery. I mean, that people live in these fantasy worlds, though. Like, they play these different characters. And Pete, guys, just don't be a guy like that, okay? Men are not like that. Men don't do that kind of stuff. When you find a wife and you find total love, it's different, right? You'll find things that you agree upon. You'll go hiking together. My wife and I, we in our tent. We take the first time we were going out in Oaks Anita Springs in 1,000 Trails. It was beautiful. We took the tent off. What is it called? A rainfly. We took the rainfly off, and it was like we could totally see the stars. And we were like, God is amazing. And it was like a good moment between us. You know what I mean? And it was like total love, and it was just a beautiful moment. Those things do happen, but in Hollywood, it's in a filthy way. You know what I mean? And it's totally dramatized. You know what I mean? 2 Corinthians 6:14, "Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship hath righteous with unrighteousness, and what communion hath light with darkness?" I went through that. Don't get caught up with people that are not going to pay attention to you. So here we go with this article. Stay away from people that are unequally yoked, right? They'll try to use you mentally and spiritually to try to get you to fall in love with them. Okay, here's the signs. Do you believe that love can't be controlled? Do you believe that if a person doesn't love you from the outset, there's no chance? Blah 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 blah. You see, love is no different to other psychological emotions that you might experience on a day-to-day basis, such as fear, stress, jealousy, self-pity, and anxiety. So they want to take love, and they want to take it and put it in a little niche that's nothing like another. It's nothing different than an emotion, and that's true. The Hollywood films, they use this type of love. There's 4 different kinds of love, and they'll use the love of Eros, right? It's basically Eros, kind of like arrows. Cupid, the little angel thing, it's a mythological god, okay? It's a fake god that shot arrows into people and made them fall in love with each other, okay? It's all about loving each other's body, right? Eros, a love that felt particularly within the body, trembling, excitement, elation, joy, colored and underpinned by deep and beautiful procreative urges. C.S. Lewis distinguishes Eros from natural sexual urges and lust because Eros is a state of the heart. And while it is intimately related to sex, sex can exist and often does exist without Eros in living in it. It leads to children, family, joy, and laughter. So what would happen is, when people were writing poetry in Greece, all this philosophy, they would actually take those different concepts, compartmentalize different emotions, and then write storylines about that stuff. So for instance, The Notebook, it's not true love. It's that moment of love where it's like I love your body, you love my body, let's go make love, right? That's not love. That's called lust. God says that's lasciviousness, that's lust, okay? So this superficial love in Hollywood is not real love, okay? Real love is what Jesus Christ did for us. That's the ultimate love. God came down as a man, okay? He manifests himself as a human being, God in the flesh, Jesus Christ, who is God, okay? He came down here and showed us that, listen, you spit in my face, you guys are very vile, you are sinful, but you know what? I love you this much because you're my creation, and I love you so much. I'm going to die for you and come down and die for you. And then I'm going to rise up to heaven and show you through that testament that I am God. You're going to make fun of me. You're going to say disgusting things about me. You're going to kill me. But you know what? I'm going to do it for you. And I'm going to show you how much I love you. And you look at that, that's a great amount of love. But we only understand a microscopic, that's a little tiny thing that we understand in our little brain, right? And so true love is when you find somebody that you're willing to do the same for them. You're willing to give your life for them. You're willing to sacrifice yourself for them. And in doing so, you find things together. You want to worship God together. Okay? So God died for us. The Lord Jesus Christ died for us to show us how much he loves us. And he did that for the whole entire world. We get to experience that with our wife and our children. And that's a little tiny portion of what God did for all of us. Does it make sense to you? It's like a huge love. That's what true love is. 1 John 2:28. And now, little children, abide in him, that when he shall appear, we may have confidence and not be ashamed before him at his coming. If ye know that he is righteous, ye know that every one that doeth righteousness is born of him. Okay? True love is what the Lord Jesus Christ did for us. That is true love. When you find out when you see that is true love, when you finally understand that, if you're not a Christian, ask God to give you the truth. If you're looking for a spouse, ask God to show you what true love is. And he'll show you through his Holy Bible. He'll show you through his word. If you're a Christian and you're trying to figure out how to find true love, meditate on that, what God did for us. That's what true love is. Everything else comes after you find what true love is. Sex, intimacy, all the different love compartments, and we'll get into that. All those different pieces of love that they say, that comes after you get married. It happens. It'll happen when you find true love. It will happen. Like you'll find each other attractive and stuff like that. But the actual act of certain things that comes after marriage. Okay, sex, for instance. 1 John 2:2. Beloved, not are we the sons of God, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be, but we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. And every man that hath this hope in him purifieth himself, even as he is pure. God wants to give you a wife. God wants to give you a husband. Okay? But you have to first go after God. You have to first want to be righteous. You have to want to be a good person. You have to want to live and worship God before that actually happens. And we'll get into all that stuff later on. But I want to get through the rest of these clips here. Here's the Temple of Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, and I can't believe it. My wife and I, we're just doing research, right, watching movies and whatnot. And the Temple of Doom is one of the most horrific. It's a horrific movie of Indiana Jones. It's all about occultism and Satanism. Anyway, so they're playing with each other. Indiana Jones is basically wooing this woman. Okay, he's trying to woo this woman. And she's trying to woo him, and they're playing this game like who's going to crack first, who's going to try to commit lust first, right? They're both lusting each other, but who's going to actually go forward? And it's a game to them. The whole thing is a game. And so I'm going to go ahead and hit unmute here so you guys can pay attention to what I'm talking about.
Nocturnal activities.
You mean like what sort of cream I put on my face?
Oh, I thought you
at
could
night?
see it.
What position I like to sleep in?
Mating customs.
Love rituals?
Primitive sexual practices.
So you're an authority in that area?
Years of field work.
And this isn't the first time. Steven Spielberg does all kinds of sex stuff in his movies. I mean, pay attention to The Goonies, One-Eyed Willie's the pirate. That's a sexual organ, One-Eyed Willie. Okay? Steven Spielberg's very sick. Okay? He's a very sick guy, just like Stephen King in the movie It. And in fact, I want to pause it real quick. It. Okay? It. Stephen King says he developed this character Pennywise. No, it's not. Go look at the movie It documentary. It, Pennywise the Killer Clown. It's based on John Wayne Gacy, who's a serial killer dressed up as a clown and killed 33 kids in his basement. Okay, Stephen King is just as sick, only he does it with sexual stuff and pedophilia. It's no joke. Look at the Goonies. Look at the character called One-Eyed Willie, and they laugh about it. They even make jokes about an anus in it. You know, like, we're right behind you, One-Eyed Willie. We're right behind you. Like little boys saying that kind of stuff. Anyway.
Why, you conceited ape. I'm not that easy.
I'm not that easy either. Trouble with you is Willie. Too used to getting your own way.
And you're just too proud to admit that you're crazy about me, Dr. Jones.
If you want me, Willie, you know where you can find me.
5 minutes. You'll be back over here in 5 minutes.
I'll be asleep in 5 minutes.
5. You know it, and I know it.
So it's like a game to them. They're playing games with each other, you know, lustful type games. And anyway, he ends up hanging around and for 5 minutes, and he's hoping that she'll show up, and she's hoping that he'll show up, and it's this game of sex, you know. It just I don't know, guys. I mean, it's just if you get the hint, I hope you get the hint. I mean, it's just crazy. Now, here's a scene where basically Indiana Jones is like fighting with this woman, and is saying that, you know, you can't help but fall in love with me, and she's saying, well, you can't help fall in love with me, and if you get in a relationship like this, I mean, there's so many different. Look at a lot of the high school jocks and the cheerleaders and stuff. They'll get married and then they end up hating each other. You know what I mean? Because it was this type of mentality, like, I'm the macho man, you're going to fall in love with me, I know you'll fall in love with me, and she's saying, I'm too good for you, and then they'll end up getting together, having sex, or whatever, how many cheerleaders in high school have kids, right? Because they fall in love with the head football player, right? You know what I mean? Or how many of them get into Anyway, they do a lot of bad sexual stuff in high school because of all these movies just inundated them with this filthy propaganda. So anyway, that's what this scene's about. You know, it's all just it's just a big game. You know.
What do you think is going on here? Since I met you, I've nearly been incinerated, drowned, shot at, and chopped into fish bait. We're caught in the middle of something sinister here. My guess is Dad found out more than he was looking for, and until I'm sure, I'm going to continue to do things the way I think they should be done.
How dare you kiss me?
Leave me alone. I don't like fast women.
And I hate arrogant men.
You see, they're making fun of the fact that they're selling you this crap. Like, they're making fun of it. Okay, they're making fun of the fact that you guys are falling in love with personalities that they create in Hollywood. That's what that whole scene was about. Okay? What's this clip, Scrooged? Hold on here. Yeah, that wasn't anything. Sorry about that. And here's another clip, Forrest Gump, okay? Forrest Gump is, you know, he was like the guy that wanted to, like, remember we went back to let's go back to the Titanic. Remember I told you Leonardo DiCaprio, the guys that are all effeminate, that want love and just are thriving for it, and they'll do anything they can for that woman. They'll even fall into the ocean, even though, you know, well, I will kill myself for you. Seriously, don't kill yourself, but I'll kill myself. Don't kill yourself, but I kill myself. I love you, okay? I love you. I want to draw you naked. You know, type thing. That's what the whole movie is about. Sorry, it's it's just crazy. So my point is that women want the sappy guy, right? They want the sappy guy to make them make themselves feel better. That's kind of what Jenny did in Forrest Gump. She was always hanging around Forrest Gump because he made her feel better, made her feel important, loved on her, and stuff like that. While then she went around like Hosea, okay, and she went around whoring herself. Doing drugs, this, that, and the other, but Forrest Gump always tried to track her down. Well, it wasn't until they were older, where she was about to die, that she finally gave him a chance because she needed to be taken care of. Do you understand what I'm trying to tell you? Women do these type of things with men. They'll take advantage of the nice guy because they want to be taken care of. Men, if you're a nice guy and you're like trying to find that woman that's treating you like crap, or try to find love, you know, don't fall for that kind of stuff where the woman treats you like crap. It treats you like nonsense. Don't do that. Be a man. Go find somebody else. Go to a church. Go be with godly people. Be with righteous people. Do not be unequally yoked. You will regret it. I'm telling you. Don't.
Just before the sun goes to bed down on the bayou. Those are millions. It were.
I love you.
You died on a Saturday morning. And you placed here under a tree. And I had that house of your father bulldozed to the ground. Mama.
You see, so and it's a very sad scene where he's crying over her grave and basically saying that he's loved her the whole time. She came from a very bad childhood. She had problems psychologically. She didn't deal with them. She treated Forrest Gump like crap. And then when she's getting ready to die, then all of a sudden she loves him because she wants to be taken care of. Okay? So we'll get into this last scene. Oh, before we do that, let's let's talk about how to spot a manipulator, right? People that want to take advantage of you, that want to convince you that you should fall in love with them and basically manipulate you, even in a marriage, okay? And it goes back to the beginning of the documentary. Men, love your wives, women, obey. But men, you are supposed to love your wives as if you love yourself, as you follow God, okay? Same thing with the woman. She's supposed to follow God, but she's also supposed to love you and obey. Men, it's, even men, to a certain degree, are to obey the wives to a certain degree. And when I say that, it's not to be heretical. It's not to be a bootlicker, what people would say. No, like if your wife is needing help, okay, and she's needing help in the kitchen, and you can see that she's struggling and she's asking for help, help her. You know what I mean? In fact, you shouldn't wait for her to ask you for help. You should go ahead and just do it. You know what I mean? You're supposed. My point is, you're supposed to love each other. God does not say for a woman to obey and then for a man to take advantage of that. No, you're supposed. If your wife is obeying you and she's being submissive, that makes you fall even more in love with her because she's such a good woman, and that you'll want to help her in anything that she's doing, even the projects she wants to work on. You know what I mean? Whatever the case being, that's true love. Okay. Ephesians 5:25, husbands, love your wives even as Christ also loved the church and gave himself for it. 26, that he might sanctify and cleanse it with the washing of the water of the word. So let's go over this article about how people manipulate each other and how to spot and stop manipulators. Most manipulative individuals have 4 common characteristics. They know how to detect your weaknesses. Once found, they use your weaknesses against you. So, for instance, somebody you know that somebody's very loving, very caring, and they'll do pretty much whatever you say. We went through this with family type of stuff, okay? And for instance, if you're being raised by your dad, and your dad knows that you'll listen and do whatever he says because honor your mother and your father, okay? And your dad knows that. And your dad teaches you as you get brought up in life, he's a certain way with you where he's very kind and gentle to kind of teach you the world, but as you get older, you continue to obey, and they take advantage of that, and they manipulate you to do whatever they want, okay? Going forward as an adult, okay? It happens all the time with lots of people, okay? And so it's the same thing with a spouse. They'll find different weaknesses and they'll use those to expound whatever they want out of you, to get you to do whatever they want. So if a wife is, will do whatever you want, is trying to be obedient, and is taking on all kinds of different things, right? Cleaning the house, doing the laundry, this, that, and the other, and you know that she's doing that, and you don't actually fall in love with that, and you don't help her out with those things. You just keep giving her more and more chores. That's what this is about. It's taking advantage of people's weaknesses. Okay, it happens throughout all life. So pay attention to what your weakness is. Whether you need to work on something with the Lord, pay attention to that. Understand that if people take that and exploit it, there's something very wrong. They're manipulating you. Okay? Through their shrewd machinations, they convince you to give up something of yourself in order to serve their self-centered interests. In work, social, and family situations, once a manipulator succeeds in taking advantage of you, he or she will likely repeat the violation until you put a stop to the exploitation. So, for instance, let's just say that there's a guy, there's a woman or a guy, okay, doesn't matter. There's a woman who doesn't like that you follow Christ. And they say, oh, well, just don't read the Bible around me. That's okay. You can believe in Christ. Just don't read the Bible around me, please. I don't understand it. If somebody does that, run the other direction. And that's with anything, right? That could be with, oh, listen, I don't like it that you, I don't like how you put the clothes in the machine this way. You know what I mean? I just want you to, if you're going to do it, the machine, don't put a full load in there. Just put a little tiny load in there. And just that's how I want you to do it. And then the next thing is like, oh, don't vacuum this way. I want you to vacuum this way. It's like, okay, I love you. I just want to please you. Okay, when you're washing the windows, wash it this way. You know what I mean? And it's just, they'll constantly they'll poke out a weakness, and they'll constantly try to mold you into the person they want. Okay? So Just stay away from people like that. If you see it right in the very beginning and you're dating or trying to figure out, stay away from it. Save yourself heartache. 11 signs you're being manipulated in a relationship and how to fix it. Plain old bullying. Just calling you names, pushing you around, forms of manipulation. Say, for example, your partner asks you to clean out their car. You don't. You want to say no, but the look on their face and the tone of their voice says you better clean out the car or something bad is going to go down. So you say, I'd love to. So basically like, hey, will you clean out the kitchen? Do I really have to? You better clean the kitchen. You know what I mean? And then somebody's like, then they're like, okay, I'll do it. It's the same thing with your wife. You know what I mean? Like, hey, honey, can you go fix the fence out in the back? It needs to be painted. Baby, I've had a long week at work. Just let me relax. Fine. You know what I mean? And then it's just like, oh, better get up there. And you fix the fence, whatever. But my point is, if a spouse is physically like trying to harm you, or you get threatened that way, or even when you're dating, something's wrong. Don't fall for that. Okay, go look this up. Go look all this stuff up. I mean, there's tons of tugging on your heartstrings. If you really loved me, yeah. Oh, this is what my brother did to me when. Okay, that's a funny one. Okay, so when I was a kid, I was just a kid, and my parents were like, "Hey, listen, you're gonna clean up your guys' toy space." You know what I mean? And my older brother, he did not like cleaning, right? He had us do all. He's just a kid, but he just was like he'd make a mess, and they told him, "Listen, you have to clean up your guys' play area." And we had a big attic that my dad built for us. It was tons of toys. Okay, there's 4 boys, okay? And 4 boys with a lot of toys, they can do all kinds of crazy stuff, okay? I mean, they got toys everywhere. And, action figures and, whatever. And so they said, you clean out the toys, or otherwise you're not doing anything this weekend. You're not going out this weekend to play with your friends until you clean up everything. And he would come up to me, and I don't know, I was probably like maybe 5, 6, 7, I don't know, something like that. And my older brother would come up to me and be like, listen, if you really loved me, you'd clean up the toys so that I could go have fun this weekend. And that was like on a Thursday. That was like on a Friday night, right? After school. So you know what I did? I went to bed, and the next morning at like 5 in the morning, I woke up before everybody, and I cleaned that whole entire place. And I did it multiple times because I loved my brother. I wanted to show him I loved him. You know what I mean? He was a great brother. He's my older brother. And so my point is that if you really loved me, like, make me a sandwich. If you really loved me, you would stop eating your side of this. You would stop eating your sandwich and give it to me because I'm super hungry. And I'm just using it as a silly example, but they'll do kind of stuff like that. Okay, somebody does that while you're dating, or that's bad news. Okay. Let's go into this clip here, and this is a woman who we don't know the situation. Okay, we don't know what type of situation these people are in, but basically, this woman does not like being told. She's basically feeling like she's being bullied, or whatever the case being, and it's having problems loading. Yeah, she's having a problem being bullied around. This guy is taking advantage of his God-given right to lead the house, and her and her mother are taking it out on this guy in this Dr. Phil show. Now, whatever the situation is, we don't know, but I'm using this as an example that there's two ends, the far extreme ends, that can cause people to manipulate each other. So this guy could easily be using his God-given authority to abuse this woman, okay? Or this woman is not liking that her husband is trying to live by the Bible, and she is tired of it, right? She's not a Christian. We don't know what the case is, but this is a prime example as to how people can manipulate each other and how the family unit can be broken down, especially within relationships if you're unequally yoked.
I don't like. My wife just happens to be in the line of fire.
He's abusing my daughter. I've seen it. And yes, I am afraid. He's 6'5" and 350 pounds. He blocks her in a doorway. I've seen Jason stomp up the steps, puff at her, slam the refrigerator.
One time I took out my anger on Sarah and I punched a wall. So I pushed her out of the way to get into my bedroom.
Okay.
I'm fed up with the way that Jason treats me. I've been taught that I need to submit. Submitting means hubby is always right.
I believe a wife who is the weaker vessel leaning on her husband who's supposed to be stronger, that's just the way God made us.
I am tired of being controlled. I am ready to be my own person.
I want her to be her own person. It's important that Sarah has an independent nature with a submissive characteristic.
Okay, you're a pastor, right?
Yes.
So, are you a Bible scholar?
I would not consider me to be a Bible scholar, no.
Well, I wouldn't either, because the Bible doesn't say that.
In regards to my wife being submissive,
Yes.
I believe the Bible says that husbands are to love their wives as Christ loved the church, and the Bible says that wives are to be submissive to their husbands.
As you love your wife as Christ loved the church.
Right.
I don't think Christ was verbally abusive
I
with
agree.
the church.
I
I don't.
Right. Okay. So I mean, you have that all the time. Like even with the pastors in churches, they'll use that all the time, and they're like totally abusive to their spouse, like totally abusive. We just went through it with Kent Hovind. Okay. Where's it at? Kent Hovind is like a mass manipulator, sociopath, psychopath. Okay. Here it is, and he's. Well, I'll keep my mouth shut on the future ongoings, but he did that with his wife, Jo Hovind. Kent Hovind, wolf in sheep's clothing. They are psychopaths that use the Bible to be controlling, okay? And it's absolutely right. You're supposed to love your wife. You're supposed to take care of her. Whenever I get in a heated argument with my wife, and it's not even heated, really, it's just kind of, I don't know, what would you say? Like you just get arguments, whatever, okay? It doesn't get heated. But whenever that happens, and I know that I am being maybe a little too selfish or a little too, you know how guys are, people, human beings, I go, what's that? Oh, I get really hungry sometimes, like, and if I don't eat, I won't eat until the end of the day. I'll get so caught up in work and just evangelism, whatever. I won't eat until the end of the day, and towards the latter part of the day, I'll start getting grumpy. You know what I mean? And I'll start nitpicking at things like, hey, listen, you almost drove through that red light. You know what I mean? Be careful with the car. And my wife will be like, hey, stop it. Get some food. I'll be like, yeah, you're right. I need to get food. So anyway, but you're supposed to love each other. You're not supposed to, you're not, this guy is probably like so prideful, like, oh, I know the Bible. You're supposed to submit to me. And he won't admit any wrongdoing, okay? That type of thing. That probably is what happened with that couple. I don't know. Anyway, we've got to call it quits here because it's getting to an hour and 12 minutes, and we can keep going. I want to put out a series of this. I want to teach men how to be godlike, righteous, Christ-like, godly, I should say. And my wife, at some point when she's ready, she's going to do one on women, and we're going to do more and more on how to be a better person, how to find a wife. Now, here's a secret, guys, okay? You've been waiting until the end of this, at least maybe some of you, maybe none of you. Here's how you find a wife. Go out and serve God. Seriously, go out and serve God, and it'll just happen. Okay? My wife and I got caught up in Kent Hovind's ministry, and I was all about just finally working for the Lord, right? I was gung-ho about it. And you know what? My wife just randomly showed up, and I prayed for that. I prayed. I was like, God, I've had bad dating relationships. I've totally blown it. I can't do it myself. I need you, God, to show me. And you know what? She randomly showed up, and she's like the best. It was like a different love. It was a very sacrificial love that I had for her right away. My point is that is the secret. It happens with a lot of people that were in and around my life during that time. They asked me, how did you meet your wife? Blah, blah, blah. And I would tell them, this is how you meet a wife. And they would do the same thing. They just threw themselves at the Lord, worked for him, and they found their wife or a significant other or somebody that they're getting ready to marry. Okay? That is the secret. Work for God, go evangelize, you will meet a wife. I'm telling you. Women love confidence, okay? Confidence and laughing, okay? You do those two things as your personality, a confidence in going and spreading the gospel and laughing at life and laughing at yourself and being just a person. I'm not trying to fool you guys with psychological stuff. You do those two things as you, as a person, who you are, you'll be good. You know what I mean? Not a superficial, charming, stupid jokes like, just dumb jokes, that don't, that everybody uses. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about being who you are. I improvise a lot, and I use a lot of voices, and and my wife fell in love with that because that's who I am. Okay, God will place the right person in your life when you do His work, guaranteed. Oh, freedom in Christ. What? Oh, yeah. If you have freedom, and if you know God, you know Christ, you have freedom to be who you are. You have total freedom. Like seriously, John 8. That's why I'm going to end it right now. Actually, John 8:32. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free. When you know Jesus Christ, you're free. You're a totally free person, and that makes you build your confidence, everything about you. And then Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. God gives you the strength to be who you really are in Christ. And that means to go evangelize. That means go to find your wife, the whole 9 yards. If you're not a Christian, call me, 520-510-3982, and we'll talk. We'll talk about God. We'll talk about the situation that's going on in your life. We'll pray together. You might not get saved right away, but we'll plant seeds in your head, and so that you will then know who God is, who Christ is. If you are a Christian, you want to find a wife, do exactly what I just said. And it's not even me, it's just what God has shown me. Anyway, we're going to put out more stuff like this and with all the other documentaries I like to do, but we got to get some work done before we get out of this library. What library at? UCSB, University of California, Santa Barbara. Yeah, because we're in Santa Barbara. Anyway, God bless. Go to liesofthedevil.com, pick up a bunch of free DVDs. We're going to be handing these out, doing some interviews with kids today, around campus here at the UCSB, and evangelizing and traveling. I mean, it's just been awesome. God bless. Talk to you guys later. Oh, if you would like to donate, if you believe in the ministry and what we're doing and making these documentaries and whatnot, you can donate here. You can text the word GIVE to 520-210-4558 or send us a donation through PayPal. That really helps out. Was it paypal.me/truth is free? Because the truth is free. And we're going to continue going for as long as God supplies our needs, which He's been doing. And donations go to basically distributing free DVDs, right? Because whatever donations we get, it either goes through traveling and going to unique places where you can evangelize, or it goes into printing off more DVDs the next go around so we can continue traveling. God bless, and love you guys.